Hey, what's happening, guys? Zaralyth here with something a little bit different for you today. I was inspired by the League of Legends Pro Picks videos, so I decided to make a Zaralyth Picks video of my favorite champion, Sejuani. Since this isn't exactly an interview of myself, I will start wherever I feel like starting. So I'm assuming everybody knows Sejuani's abilities, so it won't be a how-to-play video, just more of a personal look at into my own mind of why I love Sejuani. So without further introduction, let's begin. I loved Sejuani ever since she was announced. I loved the whole idea of her, but not just her appearance and her lore. Her kit just fits my playstyle perfectly, but I will get into that later. So, I bought Sejuani immediately when she first came out, but I didn't like any of her skins, and if anybody's ever played the old Sejuani, they would understand when I say that she's kind of lackluster in comparison to other tanky junglers. And that's what she was supposed to be. She was supposed to be a tanky jungler. What she lacked was any form of a defensive trait, like an armor passive for early game jungling, and her damage was weaker than it is now. But I didn't care much about her damage. I loved her kit's focus on crowd control abilities and utility. However, in recent times since her release, she was reworked and new Sejuani was born. And again, if you played her recent rework, then you understand when I say that I fell in love with her all over again. Sejuani's kit matches my personal playstyle now even better than before her rework, with the focus of her abilities still being crowd control and utility. However, she does more damage now, and her new passive gives her early game armor for even better early game jungle. Sejuani's new passive now gives her armor that scales with level, and a reduction on movement speed slowing effects when she hits an enemy with a basic attack. The duration of her passive is also increased by 2 seconds, for a maximum of 8 seconds with each basic attack that follows. And she has an on-hit ability that resets her auto attack, so you can stack it to 8 seconds pretty easily and pretty fast. Sejuani's Arctic Assault ability is her Q, and it's a mid-range dash ability, which is incredibly useful for dashing over walls to escape death or to initiate team fights. But it's better to save it for escape or to catch a runaway enemy, because Sejuani has another ability with much better initiation potential, but we'll get into that soon. Her Q, in addition to dashing, also does flat damage and percentage-based damage, but this isn't a guide, so I'll continue with the good stuff. My only complaint on topic being that Sejuani's cooldown on her Q is pretty long at rank 1, which is the level this ability needs to stay at for a while because you do not rank it first. But the cooldown is only long to keep Sejuani in check, because she would probably be better than most tanky junglers if they halved the cooldown, so it's only a personal nitpick. Sejuani's Flail of the Northern Winds ability is her W, and it is an on-hit ability that deals lots of damage, and after the on-hit portion, it's followed up by an AoE ability caused by Sejuani spinning her flail around in circles above her head very menacingly and dealing damage to all nearby enemies for 4 seconds. You max out Sejuani's W before any other ability, and at full rank and with a little bit of cooldown reduction, it literally does not have a cooldown. You can just continue to swing your flail around above your head wildly, and in addition to all of that, the flail does extra damage based on Sejuani's bonus health and even more damage to a single target. Sejuani's E, also known as Snorting Ice Cocaine, but more commonly referred to as Permafrost, is a follow-up ability to use when your enemies are covered in frost. All of Sejuani's abilities and basic attacks apply frost for 4 seconds. Once all your enemies are covered in frost, you may then activate your E, which has now, for your convenience, allowed itself to be used, will slow anyone in its large range that has frost on it by 50 to 70% depending on the rank, for 1.5 to 2.5 seconds at max rank, depending again on the rank, which is huge. At one point before it was nerfed from around 3-second duration, it was arguably the best and most reliable slow in the game, and the slowing madness does not end there. Wait until you hear about her ultimate ability, which is what I'm about to tell you about. Okay, so Sejuani's ultimate ability, Glacial Prison, which is her R obviously, and by itself is one of the best AoE ultimates in the game in my opinion, even matching Amumu's Curse of the Sad Mummy ultimate if you land it perfectly. Sejuani's ultimate ability is a bola, not unlike that of Rangar's E. However, this bola is big and icy and explodes on contact with either an enemy champion or the ground at its farthest range if you miss. If you manage to hit an enemy with this giant ice bola, which isn't hard to do, then it will shatter, stunning the enemy in a large chunk of solid ice for 1.75 seconds. In addition, it will also encase nearby enemies in their own ice prisons for the same duration. However, if you miss an enemy and the bola reaches its destination, it will still shatter and slow all enemies in the area in a pretty large range by 90% for the same duration. My argument for Sejuani's ultimate matching Amumu's is that it's ranged. Also, if the enemy knows you have it on cooldown, it's still dangerous because they know how easy it would be for you to throw it at them, and then you have the added range of dashing and then throwing it. So you're a constant threat that easily zones out entire enemy teams by yourself. My favorite allies to have when I play Sejuani are Kennen and Orianna. Kennen's mobile AoE ultimate perfectly synergizes with my ultimate, and Orianna can attach her ball to me, giving me extra speed and toughness, so I can jump into the middle of the enemy team and she can easily land her ultimate, making my ultimate easy to land at a close range or letting me save my ultimate altogether, so I'm still a large threat and can catch out their carry if they jump away too fast. Although these teammates are my personal optimal choices, any ally with AoE will synergize very well with Sejuani. Another great thing about Sejuani is that she is only really countered in the jungle by an enemy jungler that can do a lot of single target damage, but even then she can kite very well until a teammate can come in and help her out. Her counters are most likely early game because late game she has fewer counters than the average champion because she can build lots of different ways very easily. She fits into more team compositions than most champions. Sejuani counters any champion that uses speed to escape situations, like Singed, Hecarim, Malphite, Shyvana, Vladimir. That's just to name a couple, and that also includes anyone with only one escape ability, because Sejuani can dash to keep up with them. Sejuani can jump over Jarvan walls and Anivia walls, and she has two very reliable interrupts. Her ult stuns and interrupts, but her Q is extremely reliable, because you can just dash into them and knock them up out of their channeling abilities, like Nunu ult, Katarina ult, Karthus ult, Fiddlesticks ult, Malzahar ult, Misfortune ult, Warwick ult, are to name just a few annoying ones. I will also mention that her rework gave her lots of damage even without building a little bit of ability power late game. All you need is a little bit of magic resist or armor, you can easily take on a squishy mage. You may also stand and trade with an AD carry if you have enough armor, and your passive will give you even more armor if you stand and trade. So, if you see a squishy champion farming a lane by themselves, and you have an item to protect you from their damage, then feel free to walk in on them and have them underestimate you, and then not to be able to escape from your Q, E, or R that you saved for when they're trying to run away when they realize they can't take you on. As one last piece of advice I would like to share about my personal build on Sejuani, at the risk of turning this into a how-to guide, I leave you with this last. I use mobility quintessences for ganking early without boots, and rush Spirit Stone and Philosopher's Stone before boots, because I have decent mobility with my runes, and because you can hand off blue buff really easily to your mid, and get tons of mana regen and health regen for jungle sustain from these two items alone, which are then built into Spirit of the Ancient Golem after you get basic boots, and the Philosopher's Stone can then be used for gold and turned into a Shirelia's Reverie late game, because extra speed boost on Sejuani is amazing. A new Sejuani skin is coming out soon called Bear Cavalry Sejuani, which looks amazing. Check it out. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please subscribe if you liked it, and leave a comment with your opinion. I'd love to hear it. Thank you.